All right, guys, welcome back to the Three Marketeers Show. What episode? What 84, 85?
85.
85. Awesome, man. We have 15 more episodes to hit 100. Wow, awesome. But as you can see, Andrew is gonna join us slightly later. But tonight we have a very, very good friend coming back again. Brice, how you, man?
Hey everybody, I'm doing good. Just been a busy couple of weeks, but hey, I'm glad to be back here, man.
Awesome, awesome, and definitely have to thank Manfred for all the arrangement and all that lah. Thanks, Manfred. So, just
Thank
want to
you.
quickly highlight a few things. Okay, Brice. Since this is the second time you come back, but I think for those who are new to us, right, I think we probably have to do a bit of introduction. So we met Brice the first time several months ago, and Brice was actually sharing with us a lot about branding. Obviously this guy really knows branding, and the way he understands branding is really at different level. I personally learned so much from that episode itself, but I think we didn't get enough of that, so that's why we got him back tonight to really share with us more about branding. So if you missed the first episode, you probably have to go back to my YouTube channel to look for Brice and Brice, and eventually you'll be able to find that episode and go through that. But tonight, if you have any questions regarding branding and design thinking, right, we have that. Okay, so please just pop your questions in the comment, and we're gonna bring it up, and Brice is gonna answer your questions as and when we see it, right? So, but before we dive into that, Brice, that's my introduction on you. Now I would like to have you to introduce yourself again in your own words.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Jason and
no
Manfred
problem.
for setting this up. Yeah. My name is Brice, and I run my own branding design consultancy. And I also I focus on experience design and branding design, brand strategy and brand messaging as well. So yeah, I've been running this for about 3 years now, and yep,
Awesome.
glad
So
to
you
look forward to support others as well.
right, you're based in Singapore, right?
Yes, I am.
So what kind of client are more suitable to work with you?
Yeah, so I would say more of I wouldn't say exactly startup because I mean I would love to help startups, but I'm looking at more of the in between the startup to a very mature business kind of phase, like a young maturity kind of business. So maybe a business that's been like running for about 2 years already, and they actually never considered branding, and here's where I can help them.
Okay, so can you roughly say, let's say, if somebody is looking to work with you, so what are the
Mhm.
possible area that they can work with you on? Like before that, we say hi to our fourth marketer. So what's up, Chiwai? Guess he's back,
Hey,
right?
Troy.
All right. So if I want to work with you. So what are the areas? I mean, just now you share a bit about the context about what are the things that you are working on right now in terms of project basis or in terms of services.
Mhm.
But give us some example. What are the things that I can work with you on?
Yeah, so brand strategy, when we talk about brand strategy, we can look at like your brand architecture. So,
Mm-hmm.
looking at like in the future, if you're looking to expand, is it going to be like a house of brands or a branded house kind of thing? I know you guys are doing services, so it also really depends if you plan to have any sort of partnership, or if you were to be acquired, what will it look like as well? So
Awesome.
then after we look at the brand architecture, then that's where we dive deeper into like the positioning, your purpose, mission, and vision. So a lot of I like to start off with a lot of the internal workings, so that gives a bit of clarity and direction for the business stakeholders first lah. Then from there we work into what the customers will see about your brand. So then we go into messaging and also into the design. Yeah.
Usually it's kind of like a long-term engagement, right? The shortest will be at least 6 months to a year.
Yeah. So I'm actually almost hitting a year with a client, but
Wow.
yeah, we usually I would say 3 months minimum lah. Yeah.
3 months minimum. I think that's
Mm.
great. Like, so guys, the reason why I ask is because I really want to help you guys get clarity about what are the things that you can actually look for Brice, as in like to help your company. So this is the link that you can actually go over and connect with Brice on LinkedIn, and basically just go over linkedin.com/in/Brice BRICE dash tan TAN. So this is for the benefit of our podcast listeners. you can actually just go over and type in and look for Brice over there. All right. So guys, any questions, pop into the comment, whether you are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, doesn't matter. I'm actually watching it over here. So let's go over to the first question. We have a few stage questions that I kind of like set up here. But if you don't mind, Brice, I want to really go directly to the topic itself. What's the difference between
Sure.
branding and design thinking? And what are the relations
Branding
between
and
these
design
two?
thinking.
Yeah, if you mind, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So I would say both of these would have stemmed and their roots are from different origins. So and if I go fully into this, it will take more than one session lah. But just to give a quick summary, design thinking actually stems a lot from psychology and not really design. So the people who came out with design thinking are more of like design theorists who actually study psychology, anthropology, behavioral psychology, and they try to understand like what exactly are these humans or customers or users experiencing when they come into contact with like something of a design form or function lah. So they want to fully understand what it is that the customers are experiencing. So that's where design thinking comes from. I would say branding comes from, there are two schools of thoughts. So one is the design school of thought, and the other one would be the marketing school of thought. So when you look at branding, the word itself, some people in the past, when we look at the design route, they say, you know, they used to brand cows and barrels with like a logo. And then you know like which barrel belongs to which owner, which cow belongs to which farmer. So that's the design point of view, which is you have that kind of like ownership, and people recognize this is your brand, this is your identity, this is your company, this is your cow product, whatever it is. Then we go into marketing. So marketing, the roots, where the branding roots within marketing is where we talk a lot about positioning. So top of mind in your customers. So how do you position that? So I would say when it comes to the marketing roots of branding, there's a lot more strategy going on rather than just design and strategy. It's a lot of focus on the strategy, on I would say, you know, sometimes there's a bit of psychology being played out in there, because like how do you know what's on the top of mind on customers, and how do you ensure that it becomes top of mind for them as well? So these are the differences, a bit deep, but
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, well, this is how we learn from the masters, right? Basically, maybe the first time you hear it, you'll be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Doesn't matter. You know, we're gonna have this recorded. Basically, you can listen to this like 10 times, you probably will get an idea. That's how it works. But I think you have a very good explanation on that to distinct these two things. One is really coming from the marketing route, the other one is coming from more on the psychological side of things. You know, so yeah, I mean, not easy to understand. As we all know, that branding is really a topic that can be quite intimidating to businesses, especially those businesses that have not reached the level of needing a branding exercise. You know, so before, I mean, just want to quickly help the audience to understand a few key things. Just like when a person wants to start doing branding, as in like probably or probably even the process of branding. Okay, what's the greatest challenge in branding? Okay, before we go into that, let Manfred ask his question first. Go ahead.
To interrupt, there's this question come to my mind. So, Brice, just to check with you, normally do you handle more corporate comms people or marketing comms people? More corporate comms or marketing comms? Just
What's
curious.
the difference? What's the difference? Never worked in
What's the
MNC
difference?
before. I don't understand this terminology.
Yeah,
To me, it's bloody com. What the hell?
yeah. Which com do you spend more time with?
Okay, so actually just to quickly answer Jason, and viewers, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure, so it does sound the same to me.
Yeah,
But what I
man.
do understand is corporate comms is if I'm not wrong, is internal, and these are terms that when Manfred use these terms, they are it sounds like he's talking about large companies, so really large companies. That's why they need corporate comms, which is more internal, and then marketing comms, which is more external. Yeah. So I would say I have not dealt with anyone who is in a large company. Most of my companies are pretty small, employees maybe up to 10 to 20 people only. Yeah, but if I were to work with a larger company, I would say that as a brand consultant, I would need to speak to both corporate comms and marketing comms, so both internal and external communicators, because then we can get an alignment, and then that's where the branding gets put out into customers and also put out to their employees internally. Yeah.
For
So if you
corporate
see, yeah, sorry.
for corporate comms, my experience for big companies are normally
Mm.
PR release. The, they also do branding definitely. Then like crisis management. There's one episode we did for PR. We mentioned that. So our guests actually can our audience actually can find out in past Jason's episode. Can find out from there.
I don't know which episode. I mean, yeah,
We'll dig
I
it out.
don't
We'll dig it out.
remember. Yeah, dig it up. But
Who's the
before
guest?
you dig, Manfred, help
Yeah.
us understand the difference between what marketing com and corporate com.
Okay. Of course, corporate comms is my experience. I think is more facing outward.
Corporate com.
Yeah, as in managing the brand. For
Okay.
example, the insurance brand, how it looks, how it's been perceived, especially on newspaper and TV. They are vetting the CI, corporate identity. They are very A about CI because I cannot left, right, center. Even the mobile app icon also must follow. It's how to squeeze in.
So
Cannot
that's
squeeze
what?
in.
That's corporate com.
That's corporate comms. It's external facing.
Okay.
That's how I see it. Marketing and comms normally heavily towards the product or the services. And yes, they have some overlap with corporate comms. That's my experience. And normally marketing comms people, or we call it Marcom, or their English is
Okay.
not there, to be honest.
So you gotta be a good English. I mean, fluent, damn good in English in order to be in Marcom lah. I don't know.
Chiwai, agree or not?
I don't know.
Chiwai,
Chiwai, I maybe Chiwai deal with a lot more, like bigger corporations. I'm not sure. But then again, I think thanks, Manfred, for that. At least now we know a bit of the differences. But it sounds about right to me. It sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, if I'm wrong, if we are wrong, if Manfred is wrong, guys, correct us. Just drop a comment. It's fine. We are here to learn, right? So it's cool. But thanks, Manfred, for the question and all that. Now let's back to that, Brice.
Yes.
Wait. But before that, I think our Chiwai wants to express his own feeling. So he said he hate both sides of the cookie. So anyone who works with Chiwai, he hates you. Just kidding. Okay. Chiwai is saying because friction with both sides a lot. Friction. Oh, okay. Right. Cool. Thanks, Chiwai. All right. So let's back to this. Brice, what's the greatest challenges in branding?
And if I'm not wrong, you asked this from like a client's point of view, right?
Clients, yes. Clients point.
Yeah. So I would say the greatest challenge right now, right, is more of understanding what branding can do for you. So I have a lot of new leads coming up to me and then say, how can branding improve my business? Or like what are the ROIs of branding? And I think we talked a little bit about this in the previous session. And oops, am I lagging?
No, you are lagging, but your voice is fine.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't worry. I think it's the internet. I think it's the system. I don't know which one is the problem. But then again, as long as we can hear you, you keep talking. If we can't hear you, then we will come interrupt you. We'll say that you're probably lagging. We can't hear you.
Okay, got it.
Okay, but before that, our king of interruption is here. How was that?
Yes, I checked already. Episode 70 with Wesley for the PR.
Oh yeah, correct. Wow, that's an awesome one. That's a cool one. PR, yes. Okay, guys, episode 70. Go to my YouTube channel. Look for the 3 Marketeers show. All right, back to Brice.
Okay, yeah. So it's mostly the ROI that clients usually have a challenge in understanding about branding. So I would say, the ROI is not really measurable for branding. So we talked a little bit about this in the previous session. And I would say, most of the ROI is more for like, there are 2 ways to look at it. So one is that I have done some surveys for some of my clients where we try to understand like what are the perspectives of their customers on the brand before and after the rebrand project or a branding exercise. Yeah, so we want to know like what do you think this brand is doing, or like how exclusive do you think this brand is? It really depends on each brand. So if the brand is not looking to be in a premium level, then we don't ask like how exclusive do you think it is, but maybe like how likely are you to buy this brand. So then from here we get all these quantitative data, on like what people perceive about this brand, and if it's in the right direction, then I think we're doing a good job. Yeah, especially I would say, it's a bit tough on like which part of the brand do we look at. So sometimes we take specific messaging, specific brand identity design, or maybe like just a specific post, and then we say, can you tell what this brand is from? And then we hide the logo. And if they cannot, then maybe we're not doing really much of a good job. But it's I would say most people also won't know small brands lah. Yeah. So what is more effective for small brands is actually to work on your messaging to appeal to the customer's emotions, so that they will take action and work with your business or your brand. Yeah. So I would say that understanding what exactly is the ROI for you in a branding exercise as a client is one of the greatest challenge. So I have some clients who are very satisfied, knowing that after a branding exercise they have more clarity and better like understanding of the direction that they want to go to. So in the past, maybe the CEO, CFO, and the CTO say different things about their brand, but after the brand exercise, now they're all saying exactly the same thing. Yeah, and they know what to say. Yeah, and if they don't know, they can just pull out this document that I've made for them, and we all four of us do together. So there's full agreement, consensus that this is what we agree on. We sign off. It's gonna be that for the next like at least 10 to 20 years.
Can I safely say that, in fact, branding is more for, it actually come from internal first, then towards the external? So it's more like a
Mm,
alignment thing, having the same, building the voice. I mean, developing the voice, or the so-called the direction of the company. You know,
yeah, yeah. I think a very good parallel would be Simon Sinek start with why lor. So it's all
mm,
like begin with the purpose, start from inside. Once you know what is your why, what's your purpose, what is it you want to do with this brand, then that's where you align, and then you start to create your identity and your messaging
right,
around that.
right.
Mm.
Before that, Manfred, hold on first.
Mm.
Okay, I want to actually pose one more question. When you're saying that a lot of leads were looking for the ROI of so-called the branding exercise, do you think they're actually confused between branding and marketing? Rather than actually, instead of looking at branding exercise, they're actually looking for marketing activities to help them build a brand, or so-called build a voice among the audience. Would that be
Yes,
the
you are
case?
actually spot on. You are spot on. They are actually coming to me asking me about marketing metrics when
Mm.
they talk about the branding exercise. Because when they ask me like, what's the ROI of branding? And then I say, what do you mean
What the
ROI?
hell,
Would you like to
right?
verify? Then they start to tell me like, oh, how many website viewers will I have in the next month?
Right. There you
And I'm
go.
like, oh, okay.
That's the wrong
Yeah,
thing. Yeah. I mean,
different metrics.
correct. I think that's definitely a different verticals. They're looking at
Mm,
the wrong service provider. All right, cool, cool. I
mm.
like that. Now, Manfred, what was that?
So my question is actually quite simple. I try not to be a wet blanket, but I'm just curious. If you do for the brand, let's say example they really believe in the why, then the market doesn't really need their why. Doesn't the market don't have this requirement for that brand, that perception? Then how? As in, of course, when you come up with a thing, nobody know that the market doesn't need it. What will happen if you realize, say example, or maybe their why is very common. Everybody's why, their competitors also the same why. So how do you handle this kind of situation? Sorry, this is really a curveball.
Damn
No,
Because
no, no,
freaking
don't worry.
curveball. But I think it valids. It's a
it's
valid
valid, it may
argument. Yeah,
happen.
it
No,
may
first
happen.
first scenario is there's no such need for your brand or your why. And
Mm.
second is your why is actually very common. Everybody is saying the same thing.
Can I touch
Yeah,
something on that? If it's really not, there is no why there, right? I don't think this company can survive until they come to a point that need Brice.
I tell you. Okay, so before I answer the questions, I think
Yeah.
one very common why that I always hear is very simple: to make money, lor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I ask
Best
you,
thing
why
ever,
do you
right?
start this business? I need to make money. So this
I
is
want
why
to
I start
achieve
this business.
financial freedom for myself. But that's totally
Yeah,
disassociate with your brand. Your brand is here to solve a problem.
yeah. So I always ask them, what is then okay, so if that's your why, then maybe you can tell me what is the reason you start this business beyond making money.
Mm,
Then they start to think a bit more deeper, more introspective. But to answer your question, Manfred, I think you asked a curveball, but it is very perfect for this topic today. Excuse me.
mm,
Because today's topic is on branding and design thinking. And
mm,
you asked this question, right? I solve it actually with design thinking.
mm,
So what I do is and also like with a bit of business knowledge lah, like understanding the market, you have to do a bit of research. But the main thing is my main research style is lies with design thinking, which is to empathize with the customers.
mm,
So I won't just ask my customers or my clients for one why lah. I will
mm,
ask them, list out a few things on like why do you think you start this business, and then of course I ask them to like tell me, is this the one that you want to go for? So like maybe we have a list of 5, for example. Then I ask
mm,
them to narrow down to one and then say let's align with this first.
mm,
And then what we do is we prototype. So that's what design thinking does. We prototype and we test
mm,
before we like move further. And design thinking is a never ending process. So
mm.
every time we prototype, we test, we come back to the drawing board, prototype and test with each feedback and insight we gain from real customers. Yeah.
So
So
scenario one likely to happen as in terms of market most likely will need your why lah after the testing
yeah,
after the testing. Okay. So for
yeah.
scenario
If not,
two, okay,
yeah,
never
yeah.
mind, you go first. You go ahead. I'm jumping the gun
No, no,
again.
I think we're about to say the same thing. So scenario 2 is what?
So scenario two, in case, say example, your why is you're here to solve a problem at a reasonable price at your
Hmm.
convenience, something like that. Which honestly speaking, every competitor is saying the same why, and nobody can differentiate. Then how are we able to solve that?
Of course, then you will need to run a few more differentiation exercise. Hey,
Hey,
Andrew.
Andrew is
Hello.
Hey,
back. What's up? Okay, 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 okay.
You're
sorry,
just
Yeah,
sorry.
asking here.
Please continue. Please
how's
continue.
daughter? Okay.
She's fine. She's asleep. So
Okay, okay,
after
okay.
this, I'll just check on her and see.
Can.
So
Cool, cool,
Brice
cool.
is keep trying to answer my curveball. So we come to a
Oh.
conclusion. When you do
Yeah.
design thinking, most likely you can find a unique, okay, I would say a useful why that the market needs. So unlikely that you after do so many testing and interviews with your customer, it's unlikely that you find a why that the market doesn't need. So my second question to him was actually if your why, say example, is your selling point is actually your branding is your brand is to help people solve a problem at a efficient as in a reasonable price at your convenience. And honestly speaking, all your competitors is having the same why. Then how are we able to set ourselves apart?
Yeah. So for this one, right, I would say firstly, using my brand strategy exercise, I will never allow that to happen lah. To have like a competitor with the same positioning statement as you. Yeah.
At
But
least
in
we
the case,
differentiate, right?
yeah, we
Right.
have to differentiate. There are differentiation exercises. The thing is, we need to do quite a bit of competitor research to understand like who exactly is your competitor first.
Hmm.
Then we start to assess your competitors. Then we create a positioning statement. But let's say in like we use your scenario lah, like curveball myself. Okay, let's say I did create the positioning statement, and halfway through we realized that there's another company that actually has the same one.
Hmm.
Then, we use design
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
method.
how?
It's back to the board,
Back
and
to the
then
drawing
we
board.
come up with a new one,
Hmm.
and then find a new way to create a new positioning statement, and then we test it again after that.
But honestly speaking, there's so many companies doing the same industries. I think
Hmm.
it's very common to have 2, 3, 4, 5, even 10, 20 company having the same why. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
make things difficult for you, by the way.
No, 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 no.
I'm just
It's not. It's not.
yeah.
Yeah. Now that you talk about this, there is this one company. So they have very good branding, but I wouldn't say they're a very popular brand. So they are called Liquid Death. If y'all can just
Oh
look it up
yes.
right now.
Oh yes.
Yeah, yeah, you've heard of it. Liquid
Yes.
Death is literally water
Yeah.
in a can. Okay, and their
Yeah.
concept lies from like heavy metal music. Yeah. So their branding is just that long. Like we are water in a can, and it's a lot to do with we care about your healthcare. So there's a very nice podcast by one of my mentor, Fabian Geyer-Halter. He actually interviews the founder of Liquid Death, and he talks about how in the heavy metal scene, there's actually a very interesting scene where or subculture where people really care about their health one. So it is from that where he came up with the idea. Oh, okay. I want to help my community of heavy metal fans to be healthy as well. So instead of drinking booze and alcohol all the time or like sugary drinks, why not just water? But we can make our water look so cool, lah.
Yeah.
The name
Yeah.
already very cool. Already.
Correct.
Yeah. And if I'm not wrong, they have their water from a spring in Norway or uh, Austria or something like that. And they try to make their cans as recyclable as possible. Lah.
Yep.
So there's a lot of that subtle sustainability branding elements. But their
Correct.
main branding is that, we care about your health. So we want you to, have cool drinks, but still it's a healthy drink, lah, which is
Yep.
just water.
Yeah,
And the
awesome.
emails or the campaigns are very unique. The
Yeah.
copywriting is you're right. It appeals to a certain genre. So I think to answer Manfred's question is, for any brand, obviously every single person is a potential customer. But the what most of these brands do is they niche all the way to the sub niche, and they start appealing to that group, and over time, they would then eventually gain popularity, and then they go mainstream. So you have
Yes.
people like Red Bull, they target a specific, they couldn't compete against people like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And apparently, a lot of people were complaining that when they launched it, their drinks actually is really not that really that good. So they went into a specific sports and in the entertainment space, and that's how they grew. And over time, people start accepting Red Bull. You notice only high performance, they have all these Red Bull challenges and all those things. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so the trick I think Brice is looking at is, can you niche down to that specific group? And if you look at the world market, that specific group, although is sub niche, could still be in the millions one.
Yeah. Specifying your
Yeah.
target.
What, Manfred? Tonight
Yes.
you're having fun.
Yeah, I'm having fun today. I'm talking a lot.
Oh, good.
So the Red Bull, the story doesn't end there. There's another drink, 5-hour energy drink. Like you remember, Brice? I think you saw it before. It's even sub
It's a,
the
Yes.
Red
a
Bull.
very small one.
Very small.
That's why I think, Manfred, you brought up your own point to answer your own question. I think your question is really about, what if you have a why that your competitors also having the same why? That's the reason why you want to do branding, ma.
Yeah. Whoever gets more
Correct,
what you call that, more exposure,
Yeah.
they basically gain that advantage.
Correct. So basically, the branding exercise is to help you set yourself apart from your competitors. I think that's the reason why Brice comes into place. That's why, yeah. I mean, do I say that correctly?
Yeah, you're correct. You're
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. We are supposed to do radical differentiation, not just
Correct,
differentiation.
correct. So it doesn't matter if you are just Tom, Dick, Harry brand. Doesn't matter. The moment you come to Brice, then you become a different brand. Then
Yes.
that's the whole idea.
The 5-hour energy drink, in my opinion, in my perception, maybe niche too deep already. Red Bull already very small already. Then this 5 hour is even smaller. Then my question comes is, can sustain or not? Is
Well,
sufficient?
as long as they are still there, I think they are sustaining.
Yeah.
Maybe they're struggling. I don't know.
We don't know,
It-
but
it-
if
it
they are
really
struggling and they
depends.
still be around until you can hear
Yeah.
them, I think that's something.
Yeah,
Right?
I would
Do you
say it
agree?
really depends because if you are able to serve that market and just that market and that market stays with you forever, then you are actually serving your purpose. If it expands, then you are going beyond your own goal already, and that's a plus point for you.
So
Yeah.
is it possible that there are certain market is way too small to sustain you. Too small already.
I
And
would
using the
say
energy
that
drink, and using the energy
you have
drink.
to align your business goals with your branding goals, lor.
That's
Yeah,
the right way
if you
to
are
say.
trying to, yeah, if you are trying to expand way before your own capabilities, then you might just suffer a bit lah, and you might just go into debts.
That's why,
Pardon
in a
my
way, when we are building business, I mean, when we are talking about business building, when we are coaching businesses in that area, the moment we look at the offer, we want to be niche, but not to the extent you can't really find your first 100, then definitely you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I think definitely there should be a boundary of niching in, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess to answer Manfred's question, same thing I would say, if they are still around, right? Probably their niche is big enough to sustain them. At least to sustain them. I'm not saying that whether they're flying or they're thriving or not, but then at least sustainability shouldn't be an issue.
But in your design thinking or interviews itself, how do you know the market is able to sustain? How are you going to do sample interviewing? Whether, because sometimes the customer doesn't even know what they want.
Yeah, so this one then there's one thing in design thinking that we, or maybe I personally feel is very useful. It's called ethnography studies. So not sure if you are familiar with ethnography. Ethnography is actually
That's why you are here.
you observe the people
Oh, yeah, yes.
taking action. Yeah. So this one you're probably familiar with, like mobile apps and websites. You watch the person where they click and all of that. For product, it's more of like you observe a customer in a store. What do they naturally go for? So like if you give them a task, for example, in your example, it's more of like pick a energy drink that you need quick and like affordable.
Mm.
Yeah. Then you see which one they really choose lor, and you observe it. And then of course you want to have your target audience ready before you do this exercise lah. You don't go and like ask a 60-year-old grandpa and then ask him to go and choose energy drink. Then it's probably out of your target market already. Yeah. So and then maybe beyond looking age range of like just 15 to 30 years old, maybe you look at the kind of sports they do. So if you look at Red Bull, one interesting thing Andrew brought up is they also target extreme sports specifically. Yeah.
It's
So I
equivalent.
participate in extreme sports. So rock climbing and breakdancing. We have Red Bull sponsoring us almost all the time. And they are one of our main sponsors. Only recently Monster start to come in and act as a competitor. But Monster used to be targeting, if I'm not wrong, the esports arena lah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. Cool. I guess that gives us a bit of different, perspective and clarity into, I think Manfred really brought up a very good question. So I would say if you have a business and in a way you're kind of finding yourself a little bit, in differentiation, maybe can we call that? Is that the right word? Meaning that you're not different from anyone else. Then look for Brice. Let me bring up his contact again. I guess this is where you can actually, reach out to Brice and see how you can get him to help you finding your niche, rebuilding a positioning and finding an identity that you and your team are aligned to go towards. I think that's a very important exercise we have to look into. Yes, Manfred, what was that?
Sorry, Brice, today tekan you. So, back
No
to
problem.
the Monster brand. I'm also interested. So,
Yeah.
since they are in esports, then the CEO will, wow, I see Red Bull earn a lot of money. I also want to be associated with extreme sports. So, if they engage you, they already, say example, they are entrenched in esports already. Then they are hungry. They wanted more. They want to do extreme sports also. So, what kind of branding exercise will we get involved? Is it advisable, or is unavoidable? Because you want more business, you have no choice. This brand must be multi-purpose. You're able to take esports and also can take extreme sports. So, what's your take? I'm curious.
I would say, if they are looking to do a branding exercise, and I would say this is not really a branding it's not really a branding issue lah. I would say it's more marketing, because like
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if their branding is more of like, we are a monster, we are energy drink
For
for
esports.
the maybe not for esports, but maybe for the for the people in the dark corner or like lonely, you don't have anyone to share with. Here's a monster with you. Maybe that's their branding. I'm not too familiar,
Okay,
but
okay,
let's say
okay.
that's their branding. Then all you have to do is just use marketing to target. So if like esports people are more of those that don't socialize a lot, so then target other things that people don't socialize a lot at law. So maybe extreme sports. Uh, I mean, break dancing is quite social, but I would say rock climbing is a bit social. But sometimes you have some people who do rock climbing alone. Then that's maybe some of the people that you can target lah. If let's say monster branding does target lonely people, yeah.
And Monster is also popular amongst coders and hackers,
Yes,
programmers.
mainly those hiding in the dark room lah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the thing is, once your brand is set as so you know who you want to speak to, the personality of your brand as it's a person, the language that you want to use, then you amplify that with marketing because you want to get this message to the right people. So and then to answer Manfred's question, if Monster wants to branch out, they can do multiple things, and that is no longer branding, but basically they can create sub brands, they can create sub products.
Yeah.
Right?
And this one you can look at Unilever and P&G.
There you
and all
go.
that.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Awesome.
right.
Wow, that's
Wow,
a good one.
nice.
Oh, Manfred, you asked good question tonight. Awesome. So that's keep them coming.
So we have good guests today. They spark off all my questions. No?
Today Manfred is on fire.
Yeah. There was some episode Manfred was almost totally quiet. I was like
Yesterday,
so afraid.
the last one.
So I was so worried. What the hell happened to this guy, man? What the hell? It's like anyway. So I'm glad Manfred is back.
What have you been smoking lately, or what have you been drinking lately?
Singapore
Yeah, right.
Singapore cannot.
Huh? Maybe he's been drinking some Monster or some what? Oh,
Monster
shit.
must be.
Yeah,
Or
super
some
agitated.
Yeah, some new product of Monster. We don't know what happened over there.
He
your
mixed
host only
Monster, Red Bull, and the 5-hour energy
No
drink.
wonder lah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, these brands are not sponsoring us. So okay, let's move on.
But is that all? I mean, Brice, is there any other challenges that you want to share with us about, when it comes to branding exercise?
Okay, so I would say we have seen the client's perspective. After half an hour, we've talked only
man.
about a client's perspective.
Yeah, first question.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
We can look from the branding perspective, like the the brand maker's perspective. I'll say one of the biggest challenge is really helping our clients to understand also lah, like how this thing about differentiation, about niching down, about narrowing your scope. That is the one thing that I think scares a lot of business. Because like you see, even Manfred's asking a lot, like, what happens if I niche down too deep? Like, is it gonna work or not? So the thing is, that's where you start. And then, if you are unable to expand, then maybe you can relook again at your brand strategy. And if you don't expand and you manage to hit this market all the way, then I would say you've hit your branding goals. But the thing is, if you can expand, I would say that is a plus point, like naturally. And if I may just sidetrack a bit, if I remember correctly, Facebook was actually for Harvard College male to rate women. Yeah. Eventually, it became such a big thing, like it became a social network. So you see, they start off like with this very niche target, which is just males in college. Yeah. Eventually, it expanded, and that is their luck lah. Or maybe that is what the current market at that time wanted. Yeah, there's a huge demand for it naturally. So it's really I wouldn't say I don't like to use the word luck because it's hard to quantify or qualify it. I would say it's more of like current affairs just coincidentally happening everywhere at the same
I think
time.
they were just going with the flow lah. It's just that
Yeah.
the demand was there, and then they actually leveraged on the opportunity, and they were ready. I think it's really about their
Yes.
readiness as well. They were ready.
Yeah, readiness is one thing long. So if you look at your 5-hour energy drink, they are ready to expand lah, I would say.
That's very true.
It just maybe requires the right target market or maybe timing. Then just expand. No?
I just want to probably share a bit about from. I mean, this may not be branding. I think this could be this could be marketing. Or when you have done marketing to a certain extent, people see you differently, and you become a different brand beyond your imagination.
Oh yes, I want to say that. Yeah, it could be driven by your fans or your customers.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Good
they
example.
define you. Yeah, they define you according to their usage of your products or your
Correct.
service.
Correct. So I think you just have to keep.
yeah.
I mean, back to the question of. I mean, not the question. Back to Brice's statement just now. Whether you want to go niche in all the way to become that. I mean, I just want to quickly share my experience because recently I've got quite a number of calls coming from weird countries. Like this morning, I just had a call from Argentina. Bloody
Oh
hell.
wow.
Damn interesting. Okay, he
Wow,
was
that's
looking
nice.
for an expert to talk to in Southeast Asia region, and he found me. He said nobody else. He said he found nobody else, and I was like, okay, now what do you want to talk about? He wasn't come here to talk about Facebook ads.
Because of Three Marketeer show, he also want to be invited.
No. Hey, people pay for that, People pay full price 297 for an hour with me. So what he came here for was that, he was asking, okay, can you help me understand Southeast Asian market in terms of e-commerce? And I was like, that's interesting.
Whoa.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because he said because I mean I don't know how he found what kind of search he was doing, but he said he actually gone through a few and he actually looked at me as a forefront expert in terms of e-commerce, especially marketplace e-commerce.
Maybe your YouTube, Shopee.
Definitely is YouTube.
Oh,
100%
that has
is
to be the
YouTube.
case, right?
100% is YouTube. But I was looking at Shopee, I was not looking at the Southeast Asian market, but because of all the questions that I
It's a
answer,
marketplace. Yeah.
I have questions coming from all around, right? Philippines questions, Thailand questions, Indonesia questions and stuff. So they kind of built the brand in his head. So that's how actually he reached me. Second case in less than 2 weeks. Very interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting. I think that's kind of like a accidental branding, I would say. Never thought about it.
And
Never thought about it.
I would say that it's true that these things happen. So, you what you mentioned just now is that your marketing is put out there so much that your customers and your fans define the brand. So remember what branding is. When I said in the previous session, branding is the perception that people have about your brand. Yeah. So there have been a lot of cases where people put out their product and eventually people say what it is and then it becomes what it is.
Oh
And
yes.
the company either choose to go with it. For example, and I give you all this very good example, and it's a bit like maybe M18 R21.
Doesn't matter, it's 11 o'clock. Allah, who cares?
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
OnlyFans is not supposed to be an adult only channel. Yeah.
It was
Right.
supposed to be what?
It's actually supposed to be like kind of like, for example, I want to teach cooking. Then I set up a OnlyFans, and then you want to learn from me. Yeah, that was the initial purpose. And if you look at if you remember last year, OnlyFans
We didn't know
actually
Daker.
cancelled
I
out.
think Manfred, you installed. I don't know. I have no idea about that thing. Seriously, first time hear that.
So if you remember last year, OnlyFans they cancelled out all adult content for a period of time because they wanted to rebrand back into what they
And
initially
failed.
wanted. Yeah, it failed so badly because eventually competitors start creating alternates, and then they realize that oh, we've already been branded like this so well that actually to monetize we should just continue, and then they now build a separate platform with a different name for their initial purpose.
Right.
So this is a very good example of branding being defined by customers and not by yourself.
I really want to interview the founders of OnlyFans. So you
Yeah.
created something for people to cook, then to talk on a show or something. They end up become then you have no choice. You have to continue because your fans love it. Then the kind of feeling must be a mixture.
Yeah, if it wasn't an adult content platform, I think Jason would be teaching Facebook content creation. Andrew will be teaching email on the OnlyFans.
And Manfred teaching how to become OnlyFans creator in there, for what kind of place is that? So yeah, I think that's a very interesting. So basically, I guess branding, whatever that we are going to build, or you work with Brice to build, eventually that's one thing. But I definitely believe that the market would definitely have their own perception towards you, your brand, your product, your services. I guess understanding that and probably leveraging on that is also something that brands should do, don't you think?
Yes, definitely. And that's why the brand strategy is very important, and that's where I always start with, because you want to make sure that you are internally aligned first, so that you can help your customers align with your brand as well, and not the other way around lah. So the other way around would be OnlyFans put out their product first, market it, then you see what happens.
Yeah. Cool. Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's a very interesting.
That's throwing out to the they call it throwing out to the air and see where the wind blows like.
The spaghetti, see whether you stick to the wall or not.
Correct, which is a
Yeah,
very risky
spaghetti
thing
thing.
to do.
True,
Yeah.
true. Well, cool. I mean, that gives us a lot more deeper understanding about branding.
There you
And
go.
just want to
Alright.
quickly circle back to the second question. I mean, this is the third question, but I think this will be a more appropriate question right now, since we have only like 15 minutes left, right? So, yeah, how has branding changed over the years? That's a big topic because you know what? I just published my latest podcast episode just now before we started. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about my humble opinion about the future of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think big topic. Recently, I've been talking about this kind of big topic because I've been listening a lot. I've been digging so much about the Web3 marketing, NFT, blockchain, and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
I seriously, it's crazy. But before I say whatever I say, right? So just want to ask Brice this question: like, how has branding changed over the years, and what do you see that becoming in a few years to come? Let's say 5 years to come.
Wow.
Big topic, right? Let's try
Yeah,
and
yeah.
puzzle this together. We work together on this.
Disclaimer, Brice don't have a crystal ball. He don't have a crystal ball to see the future.
I would say I'm still quite young in this field to be saying,
Doesn't
but I
matter.
still
Young
love
is
to
good.
share.
You know why, Brice? Young is good. You say whatever shit. Nobody's gonna blame you anyway. Just say.
Okay,
You know what?
You're
Recently,
not
I've been
running
listening.
for the president of Singapore. We won't blame you.
You know what? Recently, I dug a bit on Gary Vee. I actually stopped following this guy for a long time. But recently because I've been digging about NFT and all that, and this guy is one of the loudest voice in NFT scene.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what he's actually saying?
You say
He's
what?
saying that historically he has never been proven wrong. Wow, so lancy. He said, if you have any video of me saying something that didn't happen, if you're looking back today, show me. That kind of ego, I mean, I would say definitely he dared to say that because he has that. But then again, you know what he's predicting right now? He's predicting NFT is going to burst in 2 years' time.
Oh, yeah lah.
Burst as in what?
As in, like, it's going to be a
Mainstream?
bubble. Just
Oh,
like
it's
the
a bubble.
1999 internet bubble.
Yep.
But his hypothesis is this. Just like 1999, we had this bloody internet bubble.
Yes.
Okay? Because of that, we have our internet today.
Right.
The bubble happened because of the gold rush.
Mm.
But the infrastructure and the future didn't change. It still become what it is supposed to become, like what we have today.
Right.
Internet is still become an internet that, it changed life. But that bubble was the bubble. It's just like now, he's saying NFT is going to burst. Why? Because everybody's going after the money.
Mm.
Yes, and I
So-
agree with him. And I have a branding perspective to this,
Yes, come.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's a branding issue. It's not a branding issue, but I would say from a branding perspective, if you see right now, if I say NFT, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
JPEG. Collectibles.
Yeah.
Blockchain,
Manfred, Andrew?
Ethereum.
Monkey in blockchain. Oh.
Yeah, the Bored Ape, VFriends.
Yeah. So
I was hesitant to. I want to use scam, but technically it's not a scam, but it is.
No, it is a scam in most cases.
yeah, okay. So just a quick statement on this, like from a branding perspective. Everybody is thinking that NFT is this JPEG collectible, and I think Jason, you use all these keywords is correct because that is not what NFT is. NFT is actually supposed to be something simple as like a concert ticket. You buy a concert ticket, and then the company gives you an NFT to trace back this concert ticket that it really belongs to you. And
That's the
as simple-
initial idea. That's the initial
Yes,
idea in
so that was
2016,
the
2017. Yes.
So you won't buy fake
Exactly.
concert ticket.
But then over time, Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think they are one of the pioneers. They realized, okay, you know what, I can make art collectibles. They did it. And then people realized, oh wow, they're so successful.
Then
So
everybody
that's
does that.
I feel
Yeah.
yes, I feel that there's a lot of and like sorry to use this bad word, but like you guys are greedy
Yep.
industrialists,
Because you
capitalists
know
that
why?
just want the
Okay,
money.
correct.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
because
Go
the
ahead,
most
Jason.
people just want the money because they
Yeah.
saw it become something that is investable. People start going for that. But you know what? Based on what I understand now, I think I spent about 50 hours already digging on NFT and stuff. You know, it's a contract. It's a fucking contract. Binded on the internet on blockchain. No one can alter that. It's a forever working kind of contract. So it's a
Yep.
contract that gives you right on something.
Mm.
It's not just a
Yeah. Yeah.
collectible. It's what's behind that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at V
Yeah.
Friends, the reason why it's successful, why? Because you know what? Gary put so much work at the back of it.
Mm.
He's committed to do his VCon and whatever meetings and all that. For those people who are doing, there are a few elements to this thing. I think branding plays a very important role because so many people started to create NFT because they saw the money in it, but it's really about the contract. It's about the commitment. It's about the future of owning something over the internet.
Mm.
Yeah.
Music plays very well on this thing. Definitely, it's not just about concert. It's about the royalties.
Yeah.
It's about the royalties. It's about what's happening behind that. Like I also recently took a look at the Eric Seuss NFT.
Yeah.
Eric
Yeah.
Seuss put in so much work in that. He's committed to do at least like quarterly meeting, mastermind and all these things that is going behind the NFT. So, and
Mm.
another thing here is this: too many people goes on an NFT. Like seriously, I actually get invitation to join some NFT projects. Now,
Same. Same.
this is just what I want to say. If you don't have, if you have never done something like Gary putting his fucking past 15 years of work to build his reputation, you're not ready to build an NFT.
Yeah. I agree with you. If you've never run a business, also like don't start an NFT, man.
You don't run an NFT to build a following. You have a following, then you build an NFT.
Yes. I mean, if you look at who is it? Jay Cho also. He tried
Yeah.
copying Boy Yacht Club, and it was quite a joke. No
So
offense,
I
but yeah,
mean, these are all the because people understand it wrongly. I would say that's the reason why Gary predicted it to burst.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of Gary V, but I'm in total agreement with him on this, man.
Yeah, I'm not entirely a fan, but then again, I guess he has his point over here. He's been attacked
Yep.
heavily on this. He's been attacked heavily, but I guess, well, this is another chance for him to be proven wrongly. I guess. Hopefully,
Yep.
he's wrong, but then again, that's a very interesting thing because I think like the reason why I actually brought this up and connected it to NFT is because I truly believe in order to build an NFT, you gotta have a brand first, then NFT.
You
So I
need the
think that
community.
correct. Just like
Yeah.
Gary worked his ass off for the past 15, 20 years to build his,
Yep.
and now he has an NFT work. And Board Ape Yacht Club, it has been around for a while.
Mm.
This is not just like burst out of a stone or just, out of sudden it come out and it become a branded thing. No. It has
You
been around
know,
for a while.
there's this corollary or so-called parallels. Wines. It was just wine in a bottle, and over time, people somehow assign a value to the wine, and then it became speculative. People buy wine because eventually it's going to be supposedly because of the brand or whatever it is, it's going to be worth X amount of dollars. Same thing with watches. A watch is a
Yeah.
functional tool.
Yeah.
But people spend money on Rolex not because it's not a really nice watch, right? But it costs a lot of money primarily because there is this market of people who invest in this. Eventually, that the value of that watch will be higher. NFT is the same thing. It's supposed to be an access to a membership, to access to certain things, and somehow the market decides to monetize that access rights for a potential capital gain. And
Yeah.
all this value is because of that, because they're chasing and says, that all those virtual real estate and all those things, that the recent one by the Board Ape Yacht Club, it's a virtual stuff, but then they are expecting that this is going to worth X amount of dollars.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
reminiscent of Reddit stocks lah.
Yeah.
GameStop, AMC.
So I
It's
guess
all riding on hypes lah.
correct.
Riding on
It's a hype thing, but then again, we can't deny the possibility behind this thing.
Yep,
Because it's the technology. The technology is neutral. Just like internet is neutral. But when people rush towards it with greed, then it bursts.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I think
the-
now it's a similar thing that's happening right now. Very
So
interesting.
to bring back to Brice, the topic itself is, first you have a brand, which you create or you curate over time, and then you get this to the market. The market would define either they accept this brand or they define according to the way they view or use the brand. And over time, this market itself or people who feel there's an allegiance or there's an alignment to your brand becomes your community. And from community, you can do a lot of stuff, So Gary Vee, a very clear example, he has a brand which he built over time, and then he has a specific message and the way he delivers his message, and he's not that very goody two shoes, and he's going to have all these adult languages and all the stuff.
But he toned down a lot in some of his speeches. He was damn quiet, I tell you.
Wow, that's rare of him,
no
man.
F word. I was like, what is this Gary Vee speaking?
Correct.
I was like, okay.
But he has built a community now, which then he can do his can try stuff like NFT and all those things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very interesting discussion, because I guess that would naturally kind of like, because really I've been looking at what might become. I don't know, man. Seriously, I think the marketing landscape will be in a way interrupted again. I mean, if you don't mind, just want to quickly share about my observation. This is really my humble opinion, because I'm not like Gary. I'm not somebody who is actually able to talk about all this, and I'm not trying to be that as well. But what I think here, what brands should start doing right now is actually to start building leadership. As in like leadership in the category.
Okay.
It's just me thinking, because search will be interrupted moving forward. In a way, I'm just thinking. You see, now when we search, we may search for Facebook, Facebook ads coach or something like that. Okay, so this is how we search. Okay, but I think moving forward, the way people search is gonna be like, for example, the other day I was just looking at this example that people brought up, right? You can actually, like, for example, one of the things that is becoming very kind of like popular among the state right now is what we call voice search. It's not really happening in our part of the world yet, but it's already, some people already
Alexa.
doing that. It's like Alexa, Siri, and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
They have been working very hard. It hadn't get into mainstream yet, but I guess eventually the younger generation might get into that. So the way they search is a bit different. So you can go for, can you order me a coffee or something like that? Then immediately somebody that you frequent may pick up the order and they will come over, or whatever system that you're familiar with. So I guess building a leadership will become an important thing, because when people search for you, right? Let's say if they are going into a category, if they're looking for a category, let's say, for example, branding expert. Okay, the way people search things will be slightly different right now. So they will look for the one that can convince them the most.
Yeah.
So I think building a thought leadership could be something that people want to look into, because I'm counting on the fact that the user behavior is going to be heavily shifted, moving forward. And basically, just like what I'm actually looking at here is, because if you look at it as how the marketing has shifted in a way in the past many years, if I quoted it correctly, first, as long as you have money, you can buy the ads, you win the market. Right? So you win the market, and that's how a lot of companies become big at that era. And then after that, we had this permission marketing, which is our top master guru talk about that, Seth
Godin.
Yeah, permission marketing. And that made social media marketing, email marketing, digital marketing, all these are permission marketing. But what I'm actually looking at here is, I think advertising will still be a very important thing to do moving forward in the next few years to come, at least in foreseeable years. But then again, the way people consume advertisement is changing. For example, all right, I do have a bunch of people who see my ad, never do anything, and they start looking for me on Google. So, and I believe the reason why my branded search, which is my Jason Gunn and Trevor McKenna, especially Jason Gunn, has been surging, is because people are looking at, is this guy for real? So when you run ads, people will look out for you first before they decide whether they want to buy from you or not. If you are not able to convince them with that search, I think that's where you might miss the opportunity.
Mhm.
Because you have created the intent, which is like, hey, I want to learn Facebook ads, maybe, but okay, let's go and dig up Jason Gunn. And I realized, Jason Gunn is nobody. But then again, I probably start, because with the intent, I'm already at the search, I probably will look for the best Facebook ads coach or something like that. So that's something that we have to think about, because the next stage, as I'm looking at it, is because of the behavior, because of the advertising landscape changing and it's getting more expensive. I guess advertising itself is no longer enough. You need to pair it with how do you build your own leadership in your niche. That's how I look at the potential, in my humble opinion, the future of marketing.
Yeah.
So we need another episode for brand leadership, thought leadership.
I don't know, man. I don't know who can talk about this.
Oh,
Seriously,
this one-
but I think it's a very interesting topic. It's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
interesting
I
topic.
would say you have to find someone in personal branding space. Yeah, and Gary V is a good example.
But that's something that I've been looking at. Like, I've been digging about, because I started with digging about Web3 marketing, and then of course we talk about all these NFT and blockchain and all that. Then I started to dig deeper and all that. And you know what? Content becoming a very, very important centerpiece in a lot of things right now. Content. So that's why I'm getting very crazy about content right now. Yeah, my podcast is hitting 50 episodes tomorrow.
Wow, that was fast.
I was like, crazy, right? It's like,
Holy
fuck,
shit.
have you started about 2 months ago? What the hell? But it's 50.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I started my TikTok Reels and YouTube Shorts yesterday. 30 days challenge. Yet another Jason Gunn's 30-day challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going everywhere. I'm testing different things right now.
Yep. So ads gets your attention.
Yes.
Your message, or so-called your presence,
When
allows.
the intent is there,
Yes.
how do you convert the intent? I think that's the key.
Yes, because they want to know whether you speak the right language. Yeah, because I was reading an article recently about courses, and basically, if you look at on the internet, whatever you want is available, either free or paid. Somebody have done it already. Talk about email marketing, somebody have done it, Facebook ads, somebody have done it. But why is it that you still produce course? Because the way you teach, or the angle you use, or the method you use may resonate with certain group of people.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
And like you said, the thought leadership is that portion comes in because end of the day, despite the subject matter being the same, I like the way Jason explained it. I get it the way Jason explained it. Okay, I will go with him.
But you can't achieve this without enough content.
Correct. And
So-
likewise, certain people will say,
Enough touch point also,
I don't agree with what Jason is saying.
Yeah, there will be a bunch of people
Then
like that.
that's not his potential customers. But you're right. Content. I think there's a lot of discussion about thought leadership, even among solopreneurs and all those things. And then building content. It's not just building content, but basically, are your content elevating you to that thought leadership level? Are you really putting? A lot of people put up content. To them, is content for content's sake. But does it make you, when people think of you, associate you to, like Brice said, associate to a specific outcome? That's branding.
Yes, outcome. I think
Right?
that's the right word.
Yeah.
The outcome. That's the thing. So Chiwai was saying, how about we bring Seafood Kenny? Oh yeah, I haven't spoke to my Seafood for a while.
I know I've been chatting with him on LinkedIn once in a while, sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, you go and check with him, see whether he wants to come back and talk about this. Probably you get Kenny to come back and talk about,
That'd be
personal
nice,
branding and actually Kenny may not
Kenny is corporate.
corporate branding, personal
is
branding.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I probably have to think about this. But Chiwai suggest anyone else that we can, really like talk about. And Bob is here. What's up? Okay, Bob. Yeah, we just spoke
Yes.
Hi, Bob.
spoke to him yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so that brings us to the end of the show. That's a very interesting ending. Well, that's how, in a way, four of us agree on when it comes to the future of marketing. Well, I digress the topic a little bit. Sorry for the hijacking,
Okay.
Brice.
Okay.
No
Yeah, so-
worries at all.
Yeah, but I think that's very important. I mean, everybody, especially experts, service-based companies, even product companies, we have to start looking at how can we build our own leadership in the niche. It's just like how Red Bull become the leader in a specific niche, and the
Yeah.
5-hour shit, I don't know, and
Monster.
OnlyFans, yeah, monster. I think that's something that we have to start looking into as in, when people are looking for, especially for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs.
Yeah.
And
It's an
experts.
element of branding as well. It's
Yeah.
an element of branding as well.
Just coming back to that. Okay. So before we go, Manfred.
Wow. Yes.
So give me
Let's
the
look at
wow.
what we have. Wow.
Yes, I just want to
GMP.
say today is the 4th of May. This is also the Star Wars Day. I totally forgot.
Oh, really?
Oh, May the 4th. Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Oh, yes, man.
So to all the Star Wars fans, happy Star Wars Day. 2 days later, May the 6th, May the 6th.
Coming from the Singapore version of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
So Jason was mentioning about how people search you. So this is GMB, Google My Business.
Mm.
Honestly, this tool was I stumbled this across yesterday. Okay, so you can install GMB everywhere as a Google Chrome. So let me
Alright.
stop sharing this one. And I share the other screen on.
That's
Okay,
a
okay.
Google Chrome.
So that's a
Yeah,
Google
you go
Chrome.
in-
It's a
you
Google
go to
Chrome
install the
extension.
Chrome.
Okay.
So I'll
So
show you
what
this
will
one.
happen?
I'm showing you another one.
Okay. Got it. Let me bring it
So
up.
you can see my screen.
Yes.
So I'm hungry. I'm looking at Wagyu and sushi and some other.
Oche, why you? Oh, yo,
Wagyu,
high-end.
so you can actually do basic audit. The Singapore category down here, this one is a primary category. So obviously Singapore, they're not doing a lot. So you can see a lot of other. There are other 9 business category you can put in. So you see,
Actually.
when people search for a restaurant, you're fighting for the restaurant keyword. So
Yes.
if you put, say example, Asian restaurant or Japanese restaurant or family restaurant, then people tend to search you more. Then they even had this teleport where you say, example, I teleport somewhere in East Coast, see whether who can search. So there's a lot of funny things you can do with this tool. But the initial part is free trial. But later on you have to pay for it lah. So you go and download and try out this thing. I'm still playing with this thing. Quite interesting.
But
Cool.
this feature is not available in the original Google My Business.
No, it's not available in Google My Business. So I think this has been around for 1 year.
I see.
So you can, because it's just like Google, you understand SEO, you can put more keywords for the
Yes.
business category. And you can see, as a, say example, if you're in at this part of Singapore, you search for, say example, dentist near me, who will come up. So all the information from there you can play with it. There's a lot of supporting video for it. Quite fun.
Right.
Play with it.
Okay. Thanks,
All right.
Manfred. Thank you so much. And really, it's really fun. Thanks, Brice.
Yes,
for joining
Brice.
us again.
Yes,
It's
Brice.
really
You're most welcome.
we love this kind of discussion. Really, it's really fun. Where we
It's
spark,
in-depth.
especially we have somebody who can spark Manfred to talk. Wow, that's the
I
best
know.
thing ever, right?
Brice's
Seriously.
presence sparks the intellectual.
Who else? Who else can
version of
spark this
Manfred.
guy already? I kind of like forgot. I probably have to dig back to the past episodes, and we have to bring back somebody who
There's
can
one
actually.
person that actually I can't remember. There's one person that they did.
Was
I
a
can't remember
lady.
who. I think so.
It was a lady. We probably have to get get her to come back. But
Yeah.
thanks, Brice, for bringing the Darth Vader side of Manfred out again to show us. With all
But it
that.
actually make us feel very comfortable to be ourselves and ask more questions.
Oh yes.
I think that's a good
Please
one. That's a
ask
good one.
anything.
Awesome. Thank
Jason,
you so
that's
much.
so much for us, man. The two of us, we've been with him for 80 plus episodes. So far, it doesn't speak that much. So
I don't
there you
know
go.
lah. Sometimes so many faces of this guy, we can't discover enough of this guy, man. Seriously, like so
Understood,
many
man.
faces are there. So guys, thank you so much for
Brice, thank you.
watching, and thanks, Brice. Thank you for
Awesome.
joining us again, really. And probably we can have you back in. There's so much we can discuss about
Oh,
this thing.
yes.
But guys, if this is the first time you see this, or if you forgot about this thing, this is what we do every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. The 3 Marketeers shows goes live. every week on Wednesday to interview. Hopefully, most of the time we interview awesome people like Brice. And if you like this, go back to my YouTube and watch the previous episodes. And I'll see you next week. Thank you. Good night.
Next week is Google Data Studio.
Oh yeah, Google Data Studio. We have Niza, another good friend.
All right.
Back. All right,
Awesome.
guys. See you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye.